Welcome to today's Explainer. We all kind of walk through our lives assuming we're completely free, right? We think we're making our own choices, charting our own paths, but there's actually a hidden psychological threat operating just beneath the surface of our awareness. It's quietly compromising our entire generation. Let's see what it actually is.
Okay, let's dive into this. When we hear the word addiction, our minds immediately jump to the extremes, don't they? We picture substances, we think of drugs, alcohol, smoking. We picture people whose lives have been visibly, tragically derailed. But we really need to radically redefine what addiction looks like in the modern world. Because the most dangerous addiction isn't something you ingest. It's something you carry with you every single day. You take it to work, you bring it to dinner, you literally sleep with it right next to your pillow. And the crazy part? You don't even notice it, because everyone else is doing exactly the same thing. It feels entirely normal, it feels harmless, but it is silently controlling your entire life.
Ancient Stoic philosophy actually gave a name to this phenomenon long before smartphones ever existed. They called it the invisible chain of the mind. Basically, it's a state where you're silently controlled by a constant, harmless feeling need for validation. Notice those key words there, silently controlled and harmless feeling. This controller perfectly masks itself as just normal, everyday human behavior. You think you're just being social, you know? You think you're just staying connected, or maybe just being polite. But in reality, your mind is tethered to a chain, and the people around you are holding the other end of it.
Now you might be wondering, what are the modern cravings that actually fuel this addiction? Well, you check your phone again and again. You're constantly waiting for likes, checking for messages, craving recognition. You're desperately seeking to be seen as enough by people you honestly barely even know. Think about that physical sensation for a second. Think about that hollow, sinking, empty feeling in your chest when your phone doesn't light up with approval. When you put yourself out there and the screen just stays dark. That isn't just disappointment, guys. That is the biological withdrawal of a deeply ingrained addiction.
And this brings us to a really harsh truth. You are not addicted to people. You're addicted to their opinion of you. We use other people as mirrors. We don't actually crave their deep connection in these moments. No, we're using them to reflect back a version of ourselves that we find acceptable. It's like we're terrified of who we are in the dark, so we constantly demand that others shine a light on us. This is a profound underlying dependency. It totally shifts the narrative from just simply checking our phones to desperately begging for an identity.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this dependency fundamentally changes who you are through a downward spiral. Slowly, without you ever making a conscious decision to do so, the addiction just takes the wheel. Step 1, you stop speaking honestly because you fear judgment. You bite your tongue. Step 2, you stop acting naturally because you want approval. You essentially tailor your whole personality to fit whatever room you walk into. And finally, step 3, you become a prisoner. You are pulled around like puppet strings by the shifting moods and preferences of the crowd. You've completely lost yourself.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how it creates a stark contrast between two entirely different ways of existing. On one side, we have a life. This is authentic, it's self-directed, it is relentlessly honest. But on the other side, we have a performance. This is staged for approval, it's deeply fearful of judgment, it is, quite simply, acting for an audience. I want you to really introspect right now as you think about this comparison. When you wake up, get dressed, and walk out the door every morning, are you stepping into a life, or are you stepping onto a stage? Are you trapped in a theatrical act, just completely exhausted by the constant need to ensure the audience is clapping? To break this cycle, we have to look to the ancient minds who mastered this exact struggle. Let me introduce our first Stoic heavyweight, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was arguably the most powerful man in the world, surrounded by people whose only job was to validate him. Yet, he recognized the trap. He wrote this purely to himself. External things are not the problem. Your judgment is. Let the philosophical weight of that sink in. The problem isn't social media. The problem isn't your boss or your friends or the random critics. The problem is your internal judgment that their opinions actually have value over your own self-worth. So the crucial point is this. If someone's opinion can make you happy, they control your peace. I mean, think about the mechanics of that for a second. If a compliment from a total stranger can send your mood soaring, then an insult from that exact same stranger can completely destroy you. By relying on external validation, you are literally taking the remote control of your emotional state and just handing it over to the crowd. You're no longer in control of your own mind. They are. And a mind controlled by the crowd will always be anxious because the crowd is endlessly fickle. This brings us to Epictetus, the ultimate ancient antidote to this modern disease.
Unlike Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus wasn't an emperor. Actually, he was born a slave. Yet he achieved a level of mental freedom that most kings could only dream of. He said, if you want freedom, stop caring about what you cannot control. This is the hard line between our internal power and the totally chaotic external world. Other people's opinions, their perceptions of you, the validation they choose to give or withhold, none of that is within your control. Stressing over it is literally like screaming at the weather.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a practical blueprint for true Stoic freedom. Consider what others control: their opinions, their judgments, their external validation. You could put on the absolute best performance of your life, and they still might boo you. So let it go. Now consider what you control: your actions, your discipline, your character. This is the only territory you truly own. Real freedom isn't about forcing people to like you. Real freedom is retreating to the fortress of your own character and realizing that nothing outside those walls can actually harm you.
And that leads us to the core takeaway of this entire explainer. The moment you stop needing approval, you become free. Not just emotionally, but mentally. This is exactly how you reclaim your Stoic power. It's how you shatter the invisible chain. When you stop acting naturally just to gain applause, when you stop speaking just to avoid judgment, you suddenly realize how much mental energy you've been wasting. Breaking this addiction doesn't mean you become cold or antisocial. Not at all. It means you finally engage with the world as a secure, independent individual rather than a needy performer desperate for a reaction.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. Are you living your life or performing it? Take back your mind, break the chain,